I'm here.
So smart, girl.
Well, I'm trying to keep it together because by the time we get in the middle of all this,
Yeah, I got mine.
We ready? Good evening, everybody. It is 5:32. We're 2 minutes behind, but that's okay. It is time to start our regular board meeting. Today is March 17th, 2022. It's like I said, 5:32. Are there any public comments? Any public comments? All righty. I'll call this meeting to order. We will have invocation and flag salute by North Florida Middle School, 7th and 8th grade. And can you tell us what your names are?
I'm Carter Lee from North Little Rock Middle School.
And I'm Caroline Jones.
Awesome.
Can you please stand for the pledge? I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you please bow your heads for a prayer? Dear God, thank you for this day and all the blessings you have given us. Thank you for all the people here today, and we thank you for their commitment to our school and to our community. We pray for a great rest of the school year, and we pray for all the educators and staff who give so much of their lives to educate and shape our lives. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Are your parents here with you? Would you stand, parents? Thank you very much. Ms. Wonkum, would you read our vision statement and mission statement?
Sure. Vision statement is world-class schools for world-class students, and our mission is the North Little Rock School District. The North Little Rock School District and the community will provide for achievement, accountability, and acceptance for the necessary assets in the pursuit of each student's educational success.
Thank you. Roll call, Ms. Colquitt. Here.
Here.
Present. Here.
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 Great. We're down to recognition of people and events, special recognition. Mr. Barnes.
Good evening, board members. First, we'll recognize students from the North Little Rock North Little Rock Center of Excellence who competed in the 2022 Arkansas HOSA, which stands for Health Occupation Students of America, Student Leadership Competition during the week of March 6th through March 8th in Hot Springs. 18 out of the 21 students medaled. They are Angela Nguyen, first place in medical terminology. She was number 1 out of 70 competitors. Chris Orr, second place pharmacology. Brianna Snyder, third place pharmacology. The Center of Excellence swept the home health competition. Jennifer Perez, first place home health aide. Aylin Arias, second place home health aide. And Alejandro Ramirez, third place home health aide. Daisha Young, second place biomedical science. Chloe Robinson and Daisha Robinson, second place community emergency response team. The HOSA Bowl team earned a second place finish. The team consisted of the following: Andrew Piper, Ainsley Albright, Braden Dickey, and Ashley Ramos. And a team of the students won third place in the public service announcement division. The team consisted of Julia Roberts, Malaysia Sims, Janaya Pettis, Michelle Castrillo, and Lalani Ponce. And we've learned that those students are all working, so they were not able to attend today. However, their principal and one of their teachers is here to accept this honor on their behalf. All right, the girls' basketball team. This time last week, our varsity girls basketball team was on the court at Hot Springs Convention Center, battling it out with the Northside Lady Grizzlies, who were the defending champs in a game they'll never forget. Fast forward to today, these are your 2022 6A State Girls State Champions. The Lady Charging Wildcats finished the season with 27 wins and 4 losses. Scorebook Live has ranked this team as number 1 in its final poll of the season of the top 25 girls teams in Arkansas. The team also traveled outside of the state and played some competitive teams on their quest for a championship. The team consists of the following: Sakaya Hicks, Garen Freeman, Zayana Cooper, Desiree Vick, Jocelyn Tate, Sanaya Delgado, April Edwards, Jemiah Brown, Kiriana Jones, Destin Duckworth, Amari Williams, Madison Hadley, Jasmine Rosage, and Kylie Williams. Daryl Fimple just completed his 17th season as head coach and has garnered his 5th championship at the helm. Associate head coach is Russell Stumpenhaus. Assistant coaches are Justin Yates, Tina Tennyson, Rebecca McCoy, and Courtney Clark. When it comes to individual honors, April Edwards, 6A Central All-Conference, 6A All-State Tournament. Destin Duckworth, 6A Central All-Conference, 6A All-State Tournament, 6A Central All-State. Desiree Vick, 6A Central All-Conference. Garen Freeman, 6A Central All-Conference. Amari Williams, 6A Central All-Conference, All-State, 6A State Tournament Team, and 6A State Tournament MVP. All 4 seniors on this team will battle on to play college basketball. Vick is heading to Itawamba Community College in Mississippi, Amari Williams to Vanderbilt, Jones to Mississippi Valley State, and Duckworth to Southern Illinois at Edwardsville.
I'm gonna tell your mama.
Y'all gonna have to come up. I can't get all y'all in there. So y'all It's better, thank you.
Behind your face.
All right. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2.
Ladies, are any of your parents here? If they are, if you would stand. Thank you, parents.
Madam President,
Yes.
point of personal privilege, please.
Yes.
Let me just congratulate these wonderful ladies on the great season that they had. I think if it's only one thing I regret, we still would have beat Conway in the championship game. I want you to know that. Let's give them another round of applause. Great season, great season.
For the second year in a row, the Charging Wildcat boys basketball team ended their season hoisting a championship trophy in the air at the Hot Springs Convention Center. The Charging Wildcats represented not only this community but this state as one of the best high school basketball teams in the country. Their dominance put the spotlight on Arkansas high school sports, high school hoops. The Charging Wildcats finished their season with 28 wins and 3 losses after playing by far the toughest schedule in school history. Scoreboard Arkansas has ranked the team as number 1 in its final poll of the season. They are nationally ranked number 12. Their roster, which includes two McDonald's All-Americans, put them on the national stage, taking them to tournaments in Memphis, Dallas, and the coveted City of Palms Classic in Fort Myers, Florida. The Florida tournament is where some of the most elite and storied basketball programs play, and it provides a glimpse for fans to see what players we can expect to see in the NBA. It was a memorable season for these players, which included that overtime win against cross-time rival Little Rock Central, and of course, that magical, electrifying three-point basket by basketball manager Joe Hofford on senior night.
Joe.
The boys basketball team defeated Bentonville Tigers at the state championship last week. The team consists of Charles Maris, Van Corey Washington Jr., Tyler Frederick, Felix Wade, Khalil Ware, Kai Davis, Ja'Cory Withers, Josh Evans, Nick Smith Jr., Braylon Frazier, Robert Griffin, Alan Ingram, and Reed Miller. Head coach Johnny Rice and assistant coaches Nathan Claiborne and Wes Ballon are in their 10th season together, and they have earned 6 championships. Coach Ballon will now hang up his whistle as he is now assistant principal at North Little Rock High School. When it comes to individual honors, Van Corey Washington Jr., 6A All-State, 6A Central All-Conference, King Cotton Classic All-Tournament, 6A State Tournament Team. Charles Maris, 6A Central All-Conference. Khalil Ware, 6A All-State, 6A Central All-Conference. Barry Pruitt Invitational All-Tournament Team, City of Palms All-Tournament Team. King Cotton Classic All-Tournament Team, 6A All-State Tournament Team. Nick Smith Jr., 6A All-State, 6A Conference All-Conference. Barry Pruitt Invitational All-Tournament Team, City of Palms All-Tournament Team, MVP of the King Cotton Classic, and MVP of the 6A State Tournament. Tyler Frederick, 6A All-State, 6A Central All-Conference. Seniors Nick Smith Jr. and Khalil Ware are among those high school players, basketball players, on the Jordan Brand National Boys team. The 2 McDonald's All-Americans will play in the All-American game later this month in Chicago. Senior Nick Smith Jr. will be heading to the Hill, playing for University of Arkansas, and Khalil Ware will be taking his talents to Oregon.
Woo!
You need to go to the front. You need to go to the front. Let him go to the
Free.
front. Let me have to come get y'all together.
Ready? 1,
Come on, y'all, smile.
3, 1, 2. Thank you.
If any of your parents are here, if they would stand. Thank you. Yes. Which two?
Parent North Star and then Great Ride. Then we'll come back to the presentation. We did the
Okay, so
presentation.
did he still? Okay.
Madam President,
Yes.
I think Coach Rice had a word to say. Hey, guys, before you leave,
Coach Rice?
We just don't say thanks. I told the guys right after the championship game, thank them for the ride that they took us on. Like I said, we're going from Dallas to Memphis to Fort Myers, Florida, to King Cotton, and we got to play in events that that no one in Arkansas had ever got to play in, and to travel around and play the prestigious schedule that we played. And but in doing all that, I know at times we've been in airports. I had people from the airport that would stop me and say, "Coach, your guys just went through the TSA line, and they were very respectful and all that stuff right there." I mean, the people at the hotels. I know Coach Fimple's group, they did the same exact thing there. So they represented our school and our city unbelievable all over the country, and that's what we want to say. Thank y'all.
Madam President,
Yes.
point of personal privilege, please.
Yes, sir.
Y'all have to forgive us old athletes. We are so proud of these young men and what they've accomplished. Bobby Gossett back there know exactly what I'm talking about. They had an incredible season, and one of the things, Mr. Superintendent, that really made their season special, every one they played against, it was their championship game. And they came out and played like that, yet we still prevailed. And Coach, I really want you to know that I'm so proud, especially of your seniors, and the way they stepped up this year and provided great leadership, especially all through the season, but especially the championship game when Charles came out on fire, hitting those threes, and my man Felix, 3 in a row, both football and basketball great. You know about our All-Americans. We're so proud of them, and the leadership people like Reed continue to provide to keep the team together, keep everybody on track, and I'm missing some, but all of them. The thing I want to say to both coaches that we appreciate your focus on academics. When you're naming those colleges, yes. Naming those colleges, it would be very difficult for these young people to attend an Oregon, a University of Arkansas, a Vanderbilt. That is tremendous, and you made that possible for them to do that, and that is what we're here for, higher education, and we appreciate your leadership, appreciate your commitment. We have 2 of the winningest coaches, not in Arkansas, in the nation. I want to give them a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, guys. I know the agenda calls for 5.2, but we're going to go ahead and do the presentations and then double back. So we're going to go to 5.3, Parent North Star, Supporting Teachers Achieving Results. Ms. Barker?
Thank you. Okay, I'll probably take it. Okay, good evening to President Dr. Redis, board members, Dr. Paluski, parents, family, and community. I'm going to read this one a little different because when I asked for this nomination, our recipient actually wrote what he felt. Our North Star recipient. I'm a semi-retired grandparent who has been raising 2 7th Street students for the last 5 years. I have one in 1st grade and one in 3rd grade. I've been asked to speak on my experiences with 7th Street Elementary School. Let me first start out with last year when me and my wife was informed of an F rating for the school. At that time, my wife and I made the decision to get more involved with the school and see how we could help improve that rating. We feel strongly that in spite of where you live, that all kids deserve an opportunity to be successful, which requires a good education. I have since participated on both health and budget committees as a parent representative. I've also participated in multiple Zoom meetings where staff makes themselves available to parents and grandparents. My wife and I both hold positions on the PTA board. 7th Street has a high percentage of low-income families. So one of the first PTA goals was to get free books in all kids' hands. Fundraising has been difficult during this pandemic, but through a membership drive where teachers outnumber parents approximately 2 to 1, we solicited local church and a nonprofit group for funding, and we were able to supply 10 times the number of books to our kids that our PTA budget had previously afforded. We were also able to purchase a microphone and speaker needed for outdoor activities during the pandemic. I volunteered on playground painting projects with Ms. Newburn, Mr. Lovett, and many of the teachers who rotated in and out. The art teacher brought some students out to help. We now have a basketball court with lines. We have hopscotch, foursquare, twister, jump rope, an area, numerous pictures and decorations on our sidewalk. Warm and kid-friendly. I believe it's a better learning environment. I have observed Mr. Lovett, Mr. Bizet, Mr. P, and many others of the staff building flower beds in front of the school to make it more welcoming. I even helped Ms. Woodsmall clean out the library for a small station for kids in the front door. I want to thank Ms. Spriggs for conducting the literacy Zoom meeting to help parents and grandparents learn the new way to read. I now understand blending. We have a similar math meeting planned, so please notice I said we because I feel a part. The staff has made me feel that way. The staff has conducted numerous fundraiser projects. I believe these and all of the above go beyond the staff required duties. Today, when we pull up in the morning, you are now greeted by warm, friendly staff and orderly parking lot. Mr. Collins and Mr. Howard are visually present daily and available for all concerns. I know that my kids are cared for and cared about by the devotion of our educators. There's a fluid line of communication with staff. We're blessed to have our parent-teacher coordinator, Ms. D, who is known by all. What I really want to say to the board is, you have a lot of great staff who have made a difference here at 7th Street. I am proud of 7th Street and look forward to the future here. Thank you, Mr. Collins and Mr. Howard, for leading. Thank you, Mr. Lovett. Please forgive me, I'm sure I left many people out. I want to encourage any and every parent, grandparent to get more involved with your school during these challenging times. In closing, I want to thank Dr. Paluski for his transparency, availability, and leadership with the North Little Rock School District. I also want to thank the board for their support and ask that they continue to help 7th Street improve the educational opportunities for the kids at the school. Thank you, and God bless. Help me congratulate our March Parent North Star, Mr. John McClellan.
Yeah, you kind of tricked me on this one.
No, thank you all for what you do. Thank you all for what you do.
You're so well
Wow. Thanks.
You're so well deserved.
Congratulations.
Well, while you're there, you can go ahead and do the Great Rising Adult Youth Recognition.
Our Great Rising Award recipient needs no introduction. He has a very soft demeanor and is very passionate about the success of all students, especially our African American males. During our mentor orientation series, you could find him attending several of them when only one was required. Once the doors opened to the schools, he was right there seeking and ready to serve. Our recipient is one of the mentors who accepted my request to meet with students at the academy. During their lunch shift, he was there, he was engaged, and the students quickly opened up to him, and he is now preparing to meet with a group of male students during their flex time approximately 2 to 3 times a week. I told him that he is considered the founder because it was during a meeting in the summer discussing concerns about the youth violence in our city, which consisted of community leaders, faith-based leaders, and Dr. Paluski. That the question was asked by our recipient, whatever happened to adult youth mentoring? And from that meeting, we have the Charging Up Adult Youth Mentor Program in the North Little Rock School District. Please help me congratulate our March 2022 Great Rise and Adult Mentor recipient, Pastor Mike Stinnett from Full Counsel Christian Fellowship.
I love these times. 5.2 student presentation, North Florida Academy.
Welcome.
Hey.
So, we do have a little bit, we got some nervous people. Right here.
It's okay.
Right here, nervous. First, I would like to start off with just showing y'all a little bit of me. Those that know me know that I came out of North Little Rock School District. This is me.
Tamika's Spake,
Yes.
art teacher.
I'm getting to that. But Tamika's Spake, came out of North Little Rock School District, and I believe in giving back. That's why I'm here. And I want to be here. But just to give y'all a quick example, this was mine back in 12th grade. This mine back in 12th grade. So this mine. This is 12th grade though. I'm 37. This is 12th grade, right? So my students did way better than me. They did. Just over here. I'm a little goofy too, y'all. So just forgive me. I'm sorry. So with this is Miss Jenkins McBride. This is my sophomore, my junior. This is,
Wow.
this was our Black History project. Okay, so we dealt with Black history in music. So we hit different genres, different stages of it, and this right here was done by Miss Alyssa. Now she did too, but this right here is Mr. McBride. Some of y'all know who he is.
Yeah,
nice. I need a copy of that.
You don't even have to show the other one. I said, you didn't even have to show the other one.
Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right.
That's part of history, right? So. It was a process that we went through. I tell them all the time, it's a layering process. So we traced it first with pencil and paper. And after we traced it, they were able to go on and paint it using a, what method? Monochrome. So, and that's what? What's monochrome?
Oh, black and white paint.
Yeah, just black and white, no color, right? Miss Patterson, Suzette Patterson was my art teacher. If those of you didn't know Miss Patterson, that was my art teacher. I learned a lot from her. This right here is another great one, I think.
That is awesome.
Now,
Awesome.
this is done by one of my other students, Jordan, didn't I say it? Okay. Okay. He was new to the academy. He came in and got, like, showed me some stuff. I was like, oh, I love it. So that's his. Now this is another one of Miss Alyssa's. So some of you may know who this is. This is when she first came out. Who is it?
Missy Elliott.
Thank you. See, told people.
Baby, that's history.
Somebody do a plastic bag. Like I said, I try to pull out in them, you know, what I feel like they have when they in the class, and I can see them do their work. This one, I'm gonna save mine for last. Okay. So, who is this?
Sam Cook.
Sam Cook. Go on, Miss Williams.
Look, I ain't seen her smile that hard in a while.
The student who did this, she would be very excited to know that you knew who this was. Because a lot of them was like, it don't look like. I said, yes, it does. You gotta look now. But this.
That's
And I
awesome.
brought the plain copy just so that y'all can see how close.
That's amazing. That is amazing.
Now, for the newer, hold on, I gotta go this one,
We know who that is.
I had everything together. I'm sorry, y'all.
That's all right.
Y'all know how stuff is. I work at the academy. So y'all first.
Oh, that's good.
So we know this is Mike, the younger Mike, the what's that, Thriller? Thriller Mike.
Right. That's Billie Jean Mike.
So right.
Billie Jean Michael. That is awesome.
So
That is awesome.
that's that. This is another student that's fairly new to the academy. I just tapped into a few skills that they had. And this one right here is another one that came this year.
Wow.
Now,
Wow.
Are you from Louisiana?
yes.
You from Louisiana, so you'll know exactly who that is.
So this is Boosie. And I let the kids actually pick, different genres of music that they wanted to do. And
That is
he
awesome.
wanted Boosie, so I said, okay. He did very good. They want their work too. They said I can't keep it. Like, okay. But anyway, so
That's down the road.
me. This is me. I feel
know
like
that one.
as an educator, we should lead by example in what we do with our students. You saw that. I'm a firm believer in that. I tell them all the time. I have to lead by example. If I'm going through something and they know I'm going through something because we human, I have to show them that we can get past it. So this one right here is the one that I posted on Facebook.
Wow.
Oh, who is that,
Oh,
Miss
wow.
Williams?
I
Wait a
can't
minute,
think of
hold
her
on.
name.
That is Ella Fitzgerald.
Yes. Ella.
That's Ella. That's Ella young picture.
It is. Now this is I did this one to show them, just I had to show my computer too. But
She's a good
that's Ella. And of course,
Damn.
That's Miss
Diana.
Rouse, if you know who that is, Diana.
right. Now
That's
with
the
this
Supreme
particular
days.
picture right here, Alyssa started it and I said, no, let me get it. I'll take this. So I finished it and put it together. But just to show them, like I said, how you can take paint and create form. So, but
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
That is awesome. That's awesome.
Hold on, wait. Did I hold the first one? Wait, nope, I'm showing you. Did I show y'all this one?
Unite.
So you want to
And they draw it like that.
It's fine. Let's get up. Where yours is? I'm sorry, y'all. So now I won't look.
I want that one now. Snoop Dogg. I want that.
Take his white paper down.
We can't see Diana.
I'll be happy to.
All right, 1, 2, 3. No, but just a little bit. Yeah. One more. 1, 2, 3. Awesome.
Good job.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Thank you.
Miss Ware.
Awesome job. Awesome.
You all are so
We
Dr. Pelosi,
know.
would you mind if we're doing great things at the academy as well. Student Academy are doing some wonderful things. We have some great students, and they're really stepping forward to meet those expectations. And so we're just real proud of these two students tonight, and so many of them who are doing so well. And we're just happy about that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One thing real quick. So these two students right here, I selected these two to come because they actually showed a lot more dedication. I got other artwork in the building. But these two students right here, they showed that they really wanted their work to look good. They showed their dedication, determination, and Mr. Williams came to me, so I wanted to give them, a different outlook on what they can actually have in front of them.
And are their parents here with them? Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you. Good job. All righty. Executive closed session per North Florida School District Policy 1.14, A, stating that private or closed discussions by the board may occur as part of a regular or special board meeting. Executive sessions may be held only for the purpose of considering employment, appointment, promotion, demotion, disciplining, or resignation of an employee, or to discuss matters of pupil punishment, if requested by the parent or legal guardian. No resolution, agreement, or motion considered in the executive session should be legally binding unless the board reconvenes in public session and presents the item for vote of the membership. Further, Arkansas Code Title 25, Chapter 19, Section 106, 2C1 states, the specific purpose of the executive session shall be announced in public before going into executive session. Please join me in the executive closed session for discussing the following matters: employment, appointment, promotion, or resignation of an employee. 7.1 board involvement.
Oh, I just had an ESSA conference, when is that again? Arkansas School Board Association, that's what I did. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I also was involved in ESSER and getting the updates and all that kind of stuff with Arkansas School Board.
Well, I attended ESSER, but I attended it virtually, obviously. But I attended it as well. All righty. Superintendent involvement.
Yes, ma'am. I'll go quickly. On February 19th, Saturday, I had the opportunity to participate in the Old Main Cleanup Project. This was a senior project by Senior Autumn Dillard. She had done a wonderful job organizing it. It was a great community engagement. On February 22nd, along with many other board members, I did attend the tip-off luncheon at the Wyndham,
yeah.
which was very good. I
Yeah,
think
we did
everybody
too.
here attended that as well. On March 1st, I had my superintendent's parent advisory, which is always great feedback from our parent advisory group. March 2nd, our monthly meeting with the mayor and his staff. From March 7th to the 9th, I had the opportunity to tour Nashville Metro Public Schools and their Forward Next Generation Learning with the Little Rock Chamber, as well as folks from Pulaski County, Jacksonville, and Little Rock. That was a great. On the 10th, attended both the boys and girls state championships, in which we celebrated this evening. Along with Miss Person West was there and Mr. Steele was there. What a great opportunity and event for our community. On the 16th this week, I met with Dr. Stewart from Shorter College, talking about partnerships. Yesterday, I had the great opportunity, went back down to Hot Springs, but attended the National East Conference, and we had students there from our middle school and our high school. Just awesome. Just so proud of them. And then today I attended the Pulaski County Educational Leaders Collaboration, where all local superintendents, those who are in charge of private schools and public schools, kind of get together to collaborate, and that had been started by Mr. Poor. So, thank you.
Awesome. Next, we're down to number 8, CPPC monthly report and LPPC monthly report. We'll start with classified personnel policy committee report. Mr. Williams? No.
So oh, I got you. So no report from, okay.
No. All righty. 8.2, licensed personnel policy committee report.
Good evening, Madam President, Superintendent, members of the board. Dr. Redis, I'm sorry about your foot. Oh,
It's called being hard-headed. And you know what they say about a hard head.
I don't know anything about that, Dr. Redis. So we've only met, the LPPC has only met once since you've last seen me, on March 14th, so this Monday. We spoke again with Kathy Hale about changing the extended contract days for the counselors. The document that was brought to us was not in final form, so we're going to need another month on that. Ms. Hale and Mr. Smith are going to work together to get that document in final form for our committee. We talked through our policy game plan. We have been tasked with a full review of our entire policy. We have not had an opportunity to do that yet because there's been a lot. We've been playing a little bit of whack-a-mole with some emergencies or some exciting things like the new salary schedule. So we made a game plan, and we're going to workshop once a month a specific policy, the ones that need to be overhauled, and the ones that just need grammar and all of that dressing up will be a subcommittee. But the overhauls will be a workshop with the entire committee. We also talked about sick leave payout for a non-renew, and looking at that policy, that we understand a non-renew is by no fault of the employee, that it's due to either a RIF or renormalization. So based off of what the district needs, it's often determined by years of service and all of that. And so looking at it more similarly to retirement than a termination, because termination would be by fault of the employee. So we're going to be reviewing that policy soon to hopefully be looking at paying out those sick days for staff who've had to sign a non-renew. We reviewed our social media policy. Some staff members brought that as a concern. We found that our social media policy is in line with the recommended policy by the Arkansas School Board Association. So there was no action taken there. We also talked about retention plan. There was an example, a retention stipend resolution language. And there was an example brought to us that our committee is currently reviewing and making comment on. So hopefully by the next couple months, you'll have something in front of you to vote on. Other than that, and we also added the sign-in, sign-out procedures to our workshop, that we have been told that the sign-in, sign-out procedures need to be updated, and there's no policy there, so our administrators cannot hold staff accountable for that piece, and so adding that policy piece there. That is all that I have for you. Do you have any questions for me?
Ms. Person West, any questions?
No, ma'am.
Ms. Wonkum?
Yes. So do you have the cell phone policy as like your top 5 that you're going
To be reviewed
To be reviewed, because that's,
for students or for staff?
I'm going to say students first, because last time we were in this room, we heard from all the principals that the cell phone was a major issue. So I want to make sure that we tackle that first and foremost, and just be cautious that there is a time frame. So we have to make sure we pass it in order for it to go through. So just make sure you're
Yes,
aware
so
of
that policy is not under our jurisdiction because we only have
Okay.
employees. So we have
Okay.
licensed employees. But I do know that there's,
We do the superintendent's employee advisory.
Yep.
We worked on that. Dustin and I worked on that with them this week. So we
Good.
have a draft. We want to, once we get it into almost a finalized, we want to take it to principals, let them weigh in, put it out to the public to weigh in. But yes, we know in order to start next school year,
Right.
that's the sense of urgency is there.
Yes. Okay, very good.
Yes, ma'am.
Very
and I
good.
don't believe that those policies go through the same
Process.
processes and procedures that these have to.
Okay, good deal.
Ms. Williams?
No, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ms. Wonkum?
I have no questions. No report.
Awesome, great report.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All
Thank you,
righty.
Ms. Parker.
Thank you.
Nice pen.
Thank you, Dr. Fiske.
Information items, 9.1, progress report on school choice marketing campaign. Mr. Barnes?
All right, good evening again, board members. I'm here joined by Julie Robbins, who is with Megan Holcomb, Team SI, who is doing our marketing for our school choice campaign. So she is going to be with this presentation with us today.
Good evening. Good evening, and I'm happy to be with you all again to let you know how we're doing. All right, just a quick overview. This slide is similar to the slide that I presented a few months ago when we were together. So a friendly reminder, as it were, that the purpose of this marketing campaign was to influence parents' decisions with regard to choosing the North Little Rock School District for their students. So the audience that we would be targeting with the campaign would be parents of school-age children, mostly women, likely ages 28 to 45. Geography, North Pulaski County, communities including Sherwood, Jacksonville, and Maumelle. Time frame, beginning in December as much as we could, and then moving in heavily into January and running through April. Our desired outcome is that we have about 200 new students enrolled in North Little Rock School District for the coming school year. We set that goal based on the targets that you all had hit in previous years, thinking that that would be reasonable. We set that from a marketing perspective. That was not set for us, for you all, or by you all. And then we know that our role at the firm is to drive as much traffic to the website as possible to make those applications possible to get those number of students. So we did set out early on what our key performance indicators for this campaign would be, the things that we would monitor, that we would watch, and that we would course correct against as needed. And then also at the end of this, what would we ultimately consider to be success? So we will be watching impressions, how many times our ads are shown. To our audiences, we'll be monitoring how many completions of the videos that we're putting out, CTR, click-through rate, how many people are clicking on our ads. You'll see there that that wasn't me, was it? Okay, you'll see there under the list of KPIs that when I was here, I believe in December, we had intended to measure traffic to the registration page. We then learned later on from Dustin that we needed to adjust that and we needed to monitor traffic to the school choice page, which launched on January 4th. So we made that adjustment. We'll look at time on website, new users, et cetera, and that'll tell us that'll help us know if our advertising is resonating. If people are getting to your website and then how much time they're spending on your website. That means that our advertising messages are attracting the user, and then they're clicking on the user, and the user is finding what they think they're going to find on the website, that those two things match up. Ultimately, we'd like to see some increased social media activity on the North Little Rock School District social platforms, increased website traffic and activity on the website, and then conversions. And conversions are the number of actual applications. You see there we've made an adjustment. We thought we would be monitoring conversions through a registration link, but in fact it was, which is not, and now we've had to change it to the clicks on the registration link on the school choice registration page, and then ultimately getting to that school choice final enrollment number. You all approved a budget of no more than $30,000. The budget that we presented to you was $29,750. We are still at that budget line item, no worries there. There are some of the line items within that budget that have come in under what we anticipated, so we have shifted those dollars to other line items. In general, our agency, where we've come in under budget for you all specifically is with regard to the video assets. We budgeted $6,000. We created, I believe, 3 videos instead of 2. We were able to do that for $1,300, not the $6,000 we budgeted. Our policy in general at the agency, and it's best practice for our clients, is we take those remaining dollars and we move them down to media services. So then we use your dollars to push the message out even more. So those are the adjustments that have been made with Mr. Barnes as we've gone along. So we were able to save some dollars in the creative services, but then we took those dollars and we put them into media placement so we can reach even more people even more often. And then just a few definitions of some of the language there. And I know you all have had this for a week to take a look at. So a few of our campaign highlights, 5 things that we want to call out to you all that have been accomplished thus far. It's our understanding as of last week when we pulled the numbers, North Little Rock School District had received 113 school choice applications. Our Facebook ads on your behalf have reached over 30,000 individual users, and those ads have been seen nearly 150,000 times by those users. CTV, that is connected television, that is streaming television. That's where our TV spots are, those videos that we were able to edit for you all. And the Facebook ads have generated 839 clicks to the school choice page. And then based on what we know, based on your budget, based on what we know from similar campaigns, our analysts are telling us that they believe this campaign is performing extremely well and that we are on pace where we should be at this point. Here's what we're running in Facebook. This is what was presented to you initially in December for your review and approval. 4 ad sets are running on Facebook at any given time. 2 are video assets and 2 are image assets. And these are some of the image assets that have been running on Facebook. We've got a couple of options here. Again, we run two at a time and rotate them through. And you see there's some of the results thus far with these particular click-to-web ads. So they appear on Facebook. When the user clicks on them, they're directed to the school choice page on your website. Over 63,000 impressions on these ads. I think I also would like to point out here, I talked a lot in December about course correcting, that we'll look at the data and we'll course correct your campaign as needed. We'll watch those KPIs and we'll come back and we'll work with Mr. Barnes to make adjustments so that the campaign continues to be successful over time. Another factor in that course correction is also related to creative assets. And so you'll see here that some of our ads are now not featuring mask as prominently because we began to see that shift. We also know, I think that y'all have gone to an optional policy. So we began to show some photos without mask, knowing that there are parents out there and have been parents out there who might read something into an image with a mask or an image without a mask. So we've also made some adjustments based on what's going out in the greater world related to your creative. We did have a few video assets. I'm not sure if this is going to play. Nope, it is not. We've got two. Can you make it play?
Seen them on our website.
And they are on the website.
Yeah.
That's okay. Sorry about that. So we do have one. There's a screenshot from one of our video assets. Oh, well, maybe I'm gonna get lucky here. Yeah, maybe I'm gonna get lucky here.
He'll get it.
Nope. Here's a screenshot from one of the video assets. Again, all of the video imagery was provided by Mr. Barnes to us, and we simply ask our video editors to edit it together. And then, of course, it was reviewed by Mr. Barnes before it went online to make sure that it was on brand, it was on message, and it was what we needed to be saying on behalf of the North Little Rock School District. Then, of course, a second video, and then, as noted, we were able to do a third within the budget and well within the budget, as it turns out. Those Facebook ads, those videos were placed on Facebook. They are also click-to-web ads, and you can see there that they have attracted over 300 link clicks and have nearly 30,000 impressions as of last week. The other place that we're using these videos is streaming television, connected TV, CTV. We have 2 ad sets running at any time. That started in December, late December, early January, and those will run through the length of the campaign. And we are very happy with the performance on this thus far. The view completion rate is very high at 98%, which is one of the reasons we like streaming versus what's called pre-roll on YouTube. Pre-roll ads on YouTube can be skipped. These cannot. You can see there are over 56,000 impressions, and then you can see the platforms from which our users are using streaming television. Roku is a top platform. Pluto TV is very popular. Samsung TV Plus, and those are some of the platforms that your ads are running on. Some of the website results. So again, our job was to drive traffic to the website. 956 school choice page views since the campaign went up. The average time people are spending on the site is 2.5 minutes. This is huge. This is great. This is exactly what we want. I have clients where we drive people to their websites and folks will spend 30 seconds on the website. And my analyst will say, oh, that was great, 30 seconds. 2.5 minutes, y'all. I think we're doing great with this one. 42% of the page views are generated by people between the ages of 25 and 34. So right there in that target audience that we were going for. So again, these are good results at this point in the campaign, and we're very pleased. You can see here from a map that we are right in that sweet spot where we wanted to be. So we're not getting a lot of waste in our ads. We are targeting them very specifically by age. You saw on the previous slide, we're hitting the age. We're targeting them very specifically by geography, and you can see by the very dark blue bubble, the big blue bubbles in the middle, that we are hitting our targets. We do have a few randoms from here, from around the state, but in general, we are hitting exactly where we should be. And what is forthcoming is we'll do some streaming audio. We'll place some audio in this month and next month. We will also hopefully be releasing some direct mail to some households. We're working through that. Looking at zip codes, looking at demographics, also looking at cost related to that to make sure that we can stay within the cost, or are there budget dollars on some of the other line items that could be shifted here if needed. And we will also have a billboard flight going up, should be up in the next couple of weeks, and will run for several weeks through April. And those 3 items were in the original proposal. We're going to repurpose some of your creative for the billboards and for the direct mail. Again, looking for efficiencies and cost there. So here is some of the imagery that you may see on those billboards when they go up. Don't want you to be surprised. Want you to see those ahead so you don't drive by them and go, oh, we've got a billboard. So I want you to see those in advance, and you see that they are very much about call to action, choosing North Little Rock School District.
That's a question.
Yes,
How do you
ma'am.
choose the billboards?
That's what I was going to ask.
The locations,
Mm-hmm.
we worked with Mr. Barnes on that. The billboard company that we use, actually several billboard companies provided their availabilities. We told them generally where we wanted to be. They mapped those out for us. They give us all sorts of detail about it.
They tell you like how many cars
Yes.
pass that area.
Yes,
usually,
they
you know,
tell us
so
how many cars.
We went
They
with the
tell us.
highest traffic.
They tell us if it's on what side of the street, if it's facing east, west, north, or south. And then we worked with Mr. Barnes and showed him what was available, and we collaborated on that, and he gave us his input.
And then that's based on availability,
Yes,
right?
ma'am. And if we then go back and tell the billboard company these are the ones we've chosen, and if they go, oh, well, someone got that one, then we will go back to Mr. Barnes and we'll work through and say these are the other ones that are available. And this is what we're working toward ultimately. School choice applications thus far, 129 have been received. So we're pacing along, I think, where we should be, and we're feeling pretty good about where we are. And I believe that concludes my presentation.
Awesome. Mr. Steele, any questions?
Yes, thank
And I'm
you.
happy to go back to a slide if you'd like for me to, Mr. Steele.
No, but I had a question about the billboards and the videos. I think I saw one, maybe 2 videos.
Okay, excellent.
And I thought they were good, but my question is, more of a question because I'm not a professional at this, but it seems like we're not doing a great job of promoting our accomplishments. Let's say it that way. I think the images are good, but I think that, today is a good example. You have one meeting, you have a pastor who's a mentor, a great volunteer, 2
Art students?
championships.
Oh, yes.
I don't think
Athletic
any other school district has had that. And probably my favorite was this art presentation. But I don't see things like that. I see kids together. The pictures are nice, but is it a way that we can talk more about our accomplishments? Because we certainly get beat up in social media often if something does not go right. But when things go right, is there a way that we can promote that more?
Let me just say this I'm in marketing, so it could be, but then you would kind of almost waste marketing dollars. Am I right? Because you kind of want to make sure that you have that call to action out there to make sure that you're giving a person a directive as to what to do. But then if you have limited time, limited budget.
So the call to action is very important, and we do want to use that Choose North Little Rock School District. I think that there are lots of ways we can use our accomplishments and talk about our successes. I know that we're very active on social media, and I think that all the pictures you've taken tonight and will end up on social media. There may be some content that we could rework on some of our ads to do a call out, even if it's with a hashtag, state champion, state champion girls basketball or state champion boys basketball. There may be some ways in which we could do some tweaking of that nature so that we can maintain our call to action, but also make sure that we are celebrating our accomplishments.
Okay,
It's a good idea. It's a good idea.
That's all.
Thank you.
If you're driving it to our website, can we not just post that on our website?
Can we put it on the school choice website? Can we post some of the accomplishments on the school choice page?
We can.
Yeah.
It's an excellent idea.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
And they're spending 2.5 minutes on the page, so we would have their
It's a
attention.
good idea.
It's an excellent idea. Thank you.
It is.
Okay.
Ms. Williams?
Yes,
Well, I'm
ma'am.
the same opinion of everybody else, though. We need to look at things that we've been successful at.
Yes, ma'am.
And I would like to see, besides basketball and football, we need to be talking about some academic things, like I heard the School of Excellence. They came up with something last month when we were at the last meeting.
And all of that is
And,
already on the
today,
website. Yeah, so.
They came up with something, seemed like we could screenshot all of that. Not only are we high in sports, but we're academically trying to move forward. And you need to pinpoint some of the good things that are going on. I agree with you, Mr. Steele, on that.
Great
If we
point.
could get some of that, you know, everybody, you know, I know the first thing people come when they ask to come to the city, well, how's your football team and how's your basketball team? They don't never ask about academics. We need to be able to say, we are growing. We need to pinpoint it. What is it, Mr. Barnes? Because he's the one that's at our meetings. He's our director of communication. He knows everything that has happened that has been good, not only in sports, but some things that have happened in academics. And he need to pinpoint some of those things out. And I think that's most important. Just say we are a district of everything. Now we're beginning to look good. You know what I'm saying? Not just one segment, but everything. That's what I'd like to see.
Yes, ma'am.
And I noticed the superintendent had mentioned, you don't show this all the time. Did you take that off the web where you had these fine spiritual guys sitting up there? You did take it down, but you just had it in a report when you came to us the first time. You know the picture of the little boys, the little young men, and I was just saying it should have been some equity in that, although you have spirited young ladies too.
Yes, ma'am.
But he's taking it down now, but when you did do your report initially, you got that picture off of our web, and I understand,
Yes,
okay?
And that's
So I
just
accepted
a
in this
group. And
report.
she's talking just to let you know, that's the Spirit Truck guys,
Spirit
which
Truck.
is done at the high school. They vote. I mean, I don't have any part of it,
Well,
but
you know, this is no day and time. It's the young ladies are trying to be motivated to do the same thing men can do. We are good too.
Yes.
We don't have any cheerleaders out there flipping and jumping. Yes, they're very spiritual. So I just like to see an intermingle of what? Women, young women as well as the young men. That's all I'm saying, Mr. Barnes. Thank you.
Yes.
Ms. Wancom?
It's Women's Month, so that makes sense. You know,
Yeah.
it's highlighted.
They cheerlead.
I'm just gonna echo what they're saying.
Dance
Our
team.
academic successes, let's put that out there as well. Now's also a time to, our cheerleaders, our chess team, our swim team, our basketball team, the band did amazing. Yeah. So, any and all, absolutely.
Our copy on our ads at the moment is very focused on, I have a few of them up here, world-class school district, keys to success. So it's, and you can see some of the imagery there is in the classroom. So we are trying to mix it up, and in fact, I think it's fair to say that we've been very cautious to not focus entirely on sports.
and we also too. I learned this my first year here. I did a kind of profile of a basketball player, and AAA dinged us. Like they called us out, so I try to stay as much as I can away from athletics.
Yeah.
We've intentionally, to some degree, not because they're not accomplishing, but knowing that we have to be careful about that, and then that we do have to talk about academics. It's not just athletics, it's both.
Maybe even, Amari's going to Vanderbilt. I mean, that's an accomplishment.
It is an
That's
accomplishment.
amazing.
That.
The ad was about the
And
student.
Khalil's going to Oregon, not to.
Yeah, the ad was about how the student, balances his classes. He was talking about how I like the block schedule, all of that, and they called us out. So
Yeah.
I just took it down, and I've tried to stay so far away from athletics because I don't,
Yeah. Just put her in her jersey and let her talk about Vanderbilt.
They'll say we're advertising, but
2 for 1.
yeah.
Ms. Person West?
I just wanted to know, are there any plans to do any traditional TV or cable or anything like that?
Not at this time.
Okay, gotcha. Just the streaming TV.
Yes, ma'am. We've recommended the more focus on digital and streaming for you all for a couple of reasons. Limited budget, finite budget. And it's also trackable. We know exactly who's clicking on the ads, if they're clicking on the ads, if they're finishing the videos, etc. Traditional radio, traditional television, cable wouldn't allow us to be quite so accountable to you all with regard to tracking that data.
Someone's always watching.
That was going to be my question, but
Very valuable media.
that makes sense.
But
That makes sense. I know that a lot of the ads are on the website, but I would like to see them not just on the website, but on Facebook, because not everybody goes to the website and not everybody goes to Facebook. So we can kind of mix it up where no matter which avenue that you see, you can see the academics, the sport, all of it.
The majority of your ads are running on Facebook and Instagram, and I should get better at saying and Instagram.
Well, I don't know how to use
and then
Instagram.
They direct
Metaverse.
that, and then they direct people back to your website.
But that, for that reason, what
Yes,
I
ma'am.
just said, I have an Instagram, don't know how to use
Yes,
it.
ma'am.
Where since I don't know how to use it, I can pick it up on Facebook or pick it up on the website. But like I said, not everybody knows how to use all of it, so that way it'll
And
get
you
out.
also may not see it because you're out of the age group. No, not to say it like that. No. So I would say like
Remove Dustin
You don't
Barnes
have-
from the meeting.
Hit your gavel,
I believe what Mr. Barnes meant, Dr. Redis, is that
you are
you're not
What he
the
meant was
target
you're too old to
audience.
see that.
Help him.
I believe what he meant was that you're not in the target audience.
you're not in the target
And there
audience.
are lots of characteristics of the target audience.
That's okay.
Look at Dr. Paluski's red.
It's all love.
You're making my job. You're making my job really hard, Mr. Barnes.
I know. Any
That's
further
what I was trying to
questions? Thank you except for the last comment, thank you for your presentation.
And it is on the record that Mr. Barnes made that comment.
Thank you very much.
Good presentation.
Thank you.
Jesus.
Dustin, you live to see another day.
Next, we're down to the curious question that we all want to know what our terms are. So we're ready for school board zoning and elections.
So welcome Mr. Brown, our CFO, and Mr. Teddy Stewart, legal counsel, joining us. So welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. We've got Teddy Stewart with us today from Beckett, Billingsley, and Keys. He's going to talk to you about the recent changes in election zoning law. And he's got some options to present to you tonight for your consideration. And then we'll come back to you in April at your April 7th special meeting for you all to take some action on that. So I'll turn it over to Mr.
Thanks, Brian.
Stewart.
I'm going to pass out packets, if that's all right.
Are you within the target demographic? Thank you.
It's got some leverage.
I think I might be out of it.
Thank you.
Mr. Brown.
Population.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stan.
So, board, I'll reintroduce myself, even though I was introduced 30 seconds ago. Teddy Stewart with Beckett Billingsley Keys. I've been with Jay's office for about 2 years, and interestingly enough, I was in the advertisement for Night of Honors Up there, that was a picture of me. Yeah, so that was the side of my head. I could tell by the.
He reached over to me and said, "That's a picture of me."
Yeah.
So I expect you to retweet it or hashtag.
Of course,
send it
yeah.
out, okay?
I actually tried to Google it and find it, and I couldn't. So otherwise, I would have.
See Mr.
Yeah.
Barnes.
Yeah. Hopefully, we can.
Maybe you're in the age demographic. Because clearly I'm not.
Dr. Redis, you look young enough to me. If that.
Thank you.
Thank
you can stay.
Thank you. First, what I have here are options for zoning or not rezoning, if you will. I don't know how familiar the board is with 631, a little bit. So essentially, 613, 631 is the code that requires, once you go over a certain minority percentage, you have to make sure you have substantially equal zones, and you have to re-elect your board based on those zones. So to make it simple, North Little Rock is already zoned under those specifications. So there are 4 exemptions, and I know it's kind of convoluted, but there are 4 exemptions. And the 3rd exemption is if you've already zoned and you're in compliance with the Voting Rights Act, then you're exempt. So North Little Rock School District has already zoned. And so the only question is, and Dr. Paluski and Brian and I have gone over this a lot over the last few months. And so the question is, are we in compliance with the Voting Rights Act? And the Voting Rights Act is also another one of those laws that it's not extremely clear. It's kind of a social analysis of where the district is at with its population. So those are questions. I guess the biggest question, it's down here on page 1, is are white votes working to defeat large and cohesive minority voters to elect, this would be non-minority preferred candidates. I think it says minority preferred candidates, but so the answer is, I think it's pretty obvious looking at the board that we have minority representation. If you do the math, we're close to 60% minority representation on the board, and the population, I think, is about 40% minority, so we have great minority representation. So down below are the considerations, and what we have is kind of a large variance compared to other districts that would maybe say, you know, we're well within the bounds. And to elaborate on that, normally you're looking at about if you're at 5% variance in any of your zones, 5% or under, then it's a no-brainer. You're absolutely good. You don't have to rezone. If you're at about 10%, then you're looking at questions of, you know, how do our zones break down? And that's where we are. We're at 13% is our largest variation. And what makes it even more interesting or complex is the fact that one of our zones is at -5%. Like I said, Dr. Paluski and Brian and I and the other attorneys in our firm have looked at these numbers, and specifically for North Little Rock, we have an interesting setup because our smallest zones are our minority-majority zones. So in order to change those, or the consideration would be if we change those, is we would have to take non-minority voters and put them into majority-minority zones. And I think that would potentially upset a balance that's already there. I think it's working great. And one more consideration that I have down here about federal case law is that, and Mr. Steele, you can probably comment on this since you were a state representative, is that really the law is about drawing your zones, because, you know, the laws are kind of written more for gerrymandering, so they don't want zones or districts to be drawn at over 10% to begin with. Well, we already drew our zones 10 years ago, or the last time it was done, and so now the question is, have we changed so much that we have to rezone? And I think the answer is no. Obviously, if we were going to redraw our zones, we wouldn't leave a zone at 13%. We would redraw and try to put it under 5%. And so take all that. Option 1 would be to not redraw our zones and to not reelect board members. And there's an asterisk below there because I believe Zone 1 is up naturally, Ms. Dorothy Williams. So that would be option 1, to not redraw and not reelect our board members. If you flip to the next
Now,
page.
what do you mean by not reelect our board members? I don't.
Okay, so under 631, if you do redraw your zones under that code, then you're supposed to reelect your entire board.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry
Okay.
that wasn't
Okay.
clear.
I'm there.
So option 2, and Dr. Redis, this is where it gets confusing. Option 2, you can redraw your zones and not reelect your board members. Now, that's an option that other school districts and school districts that we touch have decided to do. What I have down here under considerations is that this option has proven to be confusing for county clerks around the state because it looks like you're using 631 as a reason to redraw your zones, but then you're not wanting to reelect your board. So it's like you have your cake and eat it too. I think there are other districts that have clearer exemptions. I do think that we're quite obviously under an exemption and we are exempt. I just think that it could get more complicated if we chose option 2. And then option 3 is to redraw the zones under 631 and to reelect the entire board also under 631. I think, and I say down here, little to no risk, and what I told Brian is that really means no risk at all, but the downside to that is you would have to unnecessarily redraw zones and reelect your entire board, which based on your exemption, you shouldn't have to do. So those are the 3 options.
So I thought that one of the options were to basically there's 4 of us that just ran for office and were elected.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
so we're like just sitting, not knowing.
Yes, ma'am.
When normally, when you're reelected, you're on a 3-year term.
Yes, ma'am.
But from my understanding, we're to go to 5-year terms.
So under 631, you can and should go to 5-year terms.
Okay. And then also, they only want 2 people to roll off at a time.
That's right.
So I thought that because right now, the way it stands, we have one person, if we go back to what the terms were, we have one person rolling off this year. Well, not rolling off, I don't like using that term because we want her reelected. We have one person whose term is up this year. We have, if I did it or looked at it right, we have 2 people, I think, term was coming up next year. The dilemma was the 4 of us that just came on.
Yes.
So I thought that the 4 of us would need to draw to determine who's going to be 5-year, 4-year,
That's right.
3-year, and stagger.
It's very prophetic of you because we're going into that just next.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So if you turn to page 5, it says drawing lots in big letters.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And it was Dr. Paluski told me that this was a big point that we needed to figure out. And so I don't want to make any assumptions, but I'm just, for simplicity's sake, I'm going to assume that we choose option 1. Just because it would be way too complicated to try to. So if you read through here, and just like you said, members are to draw lots to determine their terms so that an equal number of members will expire each year. No more than 2 terms should expire each year. Brian and I talked about this earlier today. You have 7 board members and you have 3-year terms. You literally cannot have there has to be a year that has 3 members that get elected. So we're hopefully going to reorganize that.
So are you saying we're going to stay with 3-year terms? We don't have to go to the 5-year?
Well, you don't have to go to 5-year.
Okay.
I'm going to recommend that we go to 4-year. And if you flip, we're getting ahead of ourselves, but it'll make it easier if you just flip to 6 and 7. You can have them open at the same time. So if you look at 6, this is where we are right now, and it looks very convoluted because it is. So 2022, that top top left zone, it says zone 1, or I should say box, it says zone 1. So that represents that Miss Williams would have to run then. And then you go to 2023, you've got zone 4 and zone 6 that are running then. And then if you look at all the boxes surrounding, I kind of need to point, if you look at all the boxes surrounding, we need to figure out, if we were to stay on 3-year terms, we would have to figure out where those zones would go in those boxes. And that's very complicated. We would have to have, well, it's not terribly complicated, but we would have to have 3 people run in one of those years. And so if you flip, look how clean and neat that is on page
There we
7.
go.
So
All about neat and clean.
so the way that would work is, at this point, we have 4 board members that haven't drawn lots yet. So my recommendation is that the board adopt a resolution that states that we are now moving to 4-year terms. And I've looked at the code, and that's why I brought my code book. It's kind of silly, but maybe gone too far. Anyway, the point is that the code is not extremely clear as to how you determine how many years your terms are. So, I mean, really, the simplest thing to do is to adopt that resolution that says we're going to move into 4-year terms. And what that would do is, if you look at page 7, Ms. Williams would hopefully re-elect in 2022.
She will.
Zone 4 and Zone 6, there's a precedent for Ms. Williams to stay. 2023, Zone 4 and 6. And then if you look and see how neat that is, 2024 and 2025, essentially zones 2, 3, 5, and 7 would draw lots for 3-year and 4-year terms, because 4 is the largest and 3 obviously would follow. So that would work perfectly. And then I added 26 and 27 just so you could see that it would follow that exact same pattern as the years followed. So.
Gotcha.
So for point of clarification, I'm going to ask a question here. So 631 says go to 5 years, but if they adopt option 1, they're claiming an exemption to 631, which says you do not have to go to 5 years. You could choose to stay at 3, you could choose to go to 4, or you could choose to go to 5.
That's right.
But 631 addresses the 5 years. That's what you were addressing earlier. But if you adopt option 1, you're essentially claiming an exemption by resolution to 631, and then you have the choice of staying where you are at 3-year terms, choosing 4-year terms, or going to the 5-year terms. And the 4-year terms seem to be a good working option and clean option if the board so chooses to go that way. And then on your elections, where on page 7 where it says zones 2, 3, 5, 7, those are where you're drawing for lots. So, zone 2 would draw, and you'd fill in that blank with a definite zone that would make that clean and concise.
So just for clarity, because I'm a visual person, so I have to visualize it at the same time. So let's say we agree and we say, when we meet again, we want to adopt option 1, and we want to present a resolution for a 4-year term. Then at that same meeting, the 4 of us will, zones 2, 3, 5, and 7, we're gonna pull a straw to decide on who's gonna do 4-year, 3-year, 2-year, what, 4.
There'll be 2 3 years and 2 4 years.
So between the 4 of us, 2 of us will have a 4-year term and 2 of us will have a 3-year term.
Yes, ma'am.
And we would do that at the same meeting, and then we can go forth and conquer.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I got it. Understanding. Yes, sir.
That was my question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was thinking the same thing. When did they draw? They don't draw it in 24. You would draw it in
At the meeting,
Right.
and
Gotcha.
then and to determine who would be a 4-year and 3-year, and then we go forth and conquer. Got it. All right. Ms. West, you have any questions?
No, ma'am. That's what I just kind of wanted to just know which one was going to be the most simplistic option out of all things. So I got my question answered.
Ms. Wonkum?
I'm all set.
Ms. Williams?
can't digest this yet. You can go ahead.
We can tell you, if you run this year, you're gonna win this year. That's all you need to know.
It's not the point, I just need to understand it, that's all I said.
No, I'm just messing with you. What part do you need them to
Okay, whatever you
do you
say.
need them to repeat it?
I heard what you said, but just clarify, I was just going along with the majority of the board, okay? That's what I was doing. No, I'm not contesting anything.
Okay. So we're gonna have 2 people every year up for election except for 1 year. 1 year there'll be 1 person.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Sounds good. Good job, Mrs. Stipp.
All righty.
So for clarification, so would the board, I'm assuming that you would return on April the 7th with a resolution in hand, both for the exemption to 631 and then a resolution for the length of terms,
Yep.
and then conduct
The drawing.
for the term. So this will all be cleaned up and ready to go. So if, just for clarity, so we're asking him to bring a resolution to adopt option 1 for the exemption to 631, and also bring a resolution for 4-year terms, and then be prepared to draw lots for the 4-year terms.
Is that
Question, if I'm up for election, how long would my time be?
If you were reelected, it would be
4
4
years.
years.
Okay, I don't have to pull lots or nothing.
No, ma'am.
Just serve 4 years, not a choice.
Only the 4 that were elected this previous year would pull the lots.
would pull?
Okay.
And when do we pull lots again?
All
On
right,
April 7th, this next meeting.
Okay.
that's all I need.
And so that means your term is up, what, 2023?
Let me go back to my chart.
I think
do
it's-
believe so. It was 2020, yes.
And then when you're reelected, it'd be for 4 years.
Okay.
And then really, we should adopt another resolution, unfortunately, another one, but one that says when the terms are up, so that we can submit that to the county clerk and election commission, so that they know for the future, what years those zones are up for election.
And can you bring all of that at the next meeting?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I'm trying to get this done.
Yeah, let's get it done.
Okay. All righty. Thank you much.
All right, thank you.
We'll see you at the next meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Attorney.
Thank you.
No, she said she didn't have any.
Mr. Stewart, I got you. Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Mr. Brown?
Yes, sir, thank you.
All righty. We are down to, we're ready for action items. Employment of personnel.
Madam President, members of our Board of Education, action item 10.1, the employment of personnel. The superintendent recommends the employment of personnel as discussed in executive closed session.
Madam Chair, I so move that we accept the recommendation of personnel from our superintendent.
Second.
It has been moved and properly second that we accept the employment of personnel as discussed in executive session. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All righty. Consent agenda.
Madam President, members of our Board of Education, 10.2 consent agenda items include 10.2A, bank reconciliation, 10.2B, monthly financial reports, 10.2C, business office items, 10.2D, payment of regular bills, and 10.2E, facilities use request.
Madam President,
Yes.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Good. I so move that we accept the consent agenda, 10.2A, 10.2B, 10.2C, 10.2D.
Second.
10.2E.
And E.
Andy?
Second.
It has been properly moved in second that we accept the consent agenda. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It has been adopted. Disposition of minutes of prior meetings.
Go for it, Tracy.
Madam President, I move that we approve special board meeting minutes for February 10th, 2022, regular board meeting minutes, February 17th, 2022, special board meeting minutes, March 3rd, 2022.
Second.
It has been properly moved and second that we accept the disposition of minutes of prior meetings. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It has been adopted. We're down to the exciting part. 2022-23 proposed raise for classified and licensed employees.
You just gave us that.
Welcome, I welcome Mr. Smith, our Executive Director of Human Resources, and Mr. Brian Brown, our Chief Financial
you.
Officer, to the table.
Is this what was included in the report last week?
Correct.
Okay, very good. So it has not changed?
No,
Because I have my own.
Correct.
I did my homework. All
Nothing
right.
has changed. Okay.
Members of the board, Madam President, Dr. Paluski, thank you guys for having us here this evening. The packet I passed out is what you asked for at the last board meeting, which was included in your board report, which is the old schedules and the new schedules compacted. And then the first 2 pages are the summary of the certified salary cost and the classified salary cost. And so I know it was a lot to digest last board meeting, but we are prepared to take questions on any information that was included in the 323-page packet that was provided last board meeting.
You're not gonna read each page?
Not going page by page. Ms. Person West, any questions?
No questions.
Ms. Wonkum?
Yes, of course I do. Ms. Barker mentioned that in the LPPC meeting, moving the counselors to a different calendar year, I guess you could say. Thank you, the extended calendar year. Would that affect any of this by doing so?
So we will bring that as a separate decision. We have ran the compression data as far as how much it has cost us year by year, and then how much it would cost us to implement that. But that will be a separate decision outside of the bounds of what's being presented for you tonight.
And that'll include any savings, because I could see a savings there, honestly, but maybe I'm wrong.
It's very comparable.
Okay.
From the data I've seen.
Okay, I'm all set.
Okay.
Ms. Williams?
Oh, there were no other concerns about the salaries beside that issue? Mr. Smith?
No, ma'am, not that I'm aware of.
No, I mean, they would have told you. We just heard that proposal, you know.
Yes, ma'am.
And we'd heard one from a psychologist at one time who wanted to flip over to LPPC, which could not happen.
Yes, ma'am. It could happen, but it's the administration wants, it's the state of the administration that we want to work with both sides of the house. We're just not prepared to move in that direction at this time. And so once we have a clarity on cleaning up some more items that are embedded in our policies and our salary schedules, we will bring that information back to the board.
Okay, I didn't think it needed to be done anyway. I thought everybody's supposed to stay in their lanes, you know. That's all I was saying. Thank you.
Ms. Temple?
Okay, in these first 2 sheets, this is the increase annually for the pay raises, correct?
This is the cost associated with the proposed raises you have before you.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Nothing? Well, I wasn't here last week, but I'm just excited because it says raise, so I'm ready.
Yes.
So, do I have a motion?
Madam President?
Yes.
I so move, let me find my notes, I apologize, one moment. I've covered it up with all these extra papers. I so move that we accept the proposed raise for classified and licensed employees.
Second motion.
It has been moved and properly second that we accept the 2022-2023 proposed raise for classified and licensed employees. Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? It has been adopted, yes.
Yay.
We got raises.
Amen.
That's a lot to celebrate right there. That's what I'm talking about.
All right. 10.5, standard rates of pay revision. What, did I miss something?
I saw Mr. Barnes, put that out there.
Yes, please.
He's getting ready to tweet
Look,
it.
he's already immediately tweet it.
It'll be in the top 5.
I don't know
for us.
anything about Twitter either, but tweet it. Twitter it out. Standard rates of pay revision.
Like my mom called it.
Yes, ma'am, Madam President. If the board will recall, we brought this as an information item. We had no standard rates of pay sheet, and we passed it earlier in the year. We are now asking to clean up a couple things because of the state of COVID and everything else. Nurses are very difficult to come by. And so we ask that we raise until ESSER runs out, the nurses' rate of pay to $45 an hour to match our teachers, counselors, and media specialists, which is they matched prior to our raise for the summer learning loss program that we implemented through ESSER. And then we've added a professional development piece for both the certified and classified. We've also increased the extended school year for special education to match what we are using during learning loss. We've added a off-contract conference translator for parent-teacher nights and things of that nature, so we can bring somebody in to translate for our parents that don't speak English.
Nice, good.
And we are now running Saturday school, and we are providing a bus route for that. And so we've added a bus driver rate of pay, which matches the other bus drivers' rate of pay throughout this document. And then after hours maintenance calls, we've also put in their hourly rate and overtime, which coincides with the alarm calls. And so we would ask that you guys would pass that so we can equalize this before we start hiring for our summer learning loss program.
I'm cool with it, but I do have a question. What happens when ESSER runs out?
Well, we'll certainly have to go back to readjusting those. You know, like when we looked at the summer learning, we were concerned that we weren't going to get teachers, which is what many districts have done. But obviously, we're going to have to readjust these once ESSER goes out, or runs out. That's just going to be a reality.
Okay. Mr. Steele, any questions?
No questions.
Ms. Temple? Ms. Williams?
I just want to ask a question. Will this clear up this overtime? You know how you all used to say we paying somebody overtime, and whether if they were doing overtime, they should have had 2 contracts. You know, there was a conflict for several years. So if you're saying you're giving these people $15 an hour, so there will be will not be necessary to be paying people overtime, although they have a regular salary. Would that eliminate that?
No, ma'am. So what we do is we use FLSA, the Fair Labor Standards Act, in order to guide. There are rules embedded within that law that guide whether somebody is exempt or non-exempt by definition, and those are what drive whether somebody garners overtime or not. And so we have to follow the letter of the law. It's a federal law, and so it's literally on a case-by-case basis. And so it will not necessarily eliminate overtime. It's just depending on the job class and then the hours worked weekly.
Okay, so these people that we're paying after, I see what it says to increase, and I know it's state law, but I was just asking you the simple question. I thought this would be tied into the fact how we be paying, I thought we got to the point we'd no longer be paying people overtime anymore. They just have 2 contracts to do their work or something. Is that right? What is that? And Mr. Brown, don't tell me I'm in it too much, because when it comes to money, I am in it too much. You made that statement last week. I didn't forget it. I just waiting on you. Now, would you explain what I'm saying? I know what this is saying.
So this document addresses just a standard rate of pay that we're going to pay employees for performing a certain job. So
Okay.
if you're a teacher, you're going to earn $45 an hour for summer learning loss. If you're a nurse, you're going to earn. So we specify for employees for the jobs they do what the hourly rate would be. As far as the overtime goes, this does not negate overtime.
Okay.
We are bound by law, the FSLA that Mr. Smith was talking about. We're required to pay people overtime if they do not qualify for an exemption under the overtime law. And
do they get the same rate of pay?
they'll-
Overtime, is that a part of this too?
So overtime, it depends on the jobs that they do.
Okay.
Let's say a bus driver works 40 hours as a driver, and then they drive, their overtime is also driving, then they get that, what we understand to be 1.5 times is their overtime rate. Let's say that a campus supervisor works 40 hours and then has a second job as a bus driver. Then we have to look at their rate of pay that they earned for 40 hours, the rate of pay that they worked for their overtime hours, and we come up with what's called a blended rate. So we take the two, look at how many hours they've worked at each of those, and it's a blended rate. That's what the state of Arkansas has guided school districts to do. So we calculate a blended overtime rate depending on how many hours they've worked at each job and what the job classification is. And then that becomes, it's not necessarily a 1.5. It could be a little higher than a 1.5, or it could be a little lower than a 1.5.
That depends on the job that they're doing.
It depends on the two jobs that they're doing, or the one job that they're doing that's generating the overtime.
Okay.
So this doesn't negate that. We still have to pay overtime, but this gives us a document that people can refer to, and they know if they're going to get paid for performing a certain job. So this is what we're calling our standard rates of pay.
Okay, thank you. I'll deal with that later.
Yes.
Ms. Wacom?
Do we have a projection of when these funds may run out? Do we have enough money in the budget to sustain us throughout the entire summer program before we lose our money?
Yes, we're going to carry, the ESSER funds will carry us into the 2024 year.
Okay, very good.
Yep.
Okay.
Ms. Person West?
You did good.
I have no questions.
Awesome.
Okay.
I need a motion.
Madam President,
Yes.
I so move that we accept the standard rates of pay revision that Dr. Smith presented to us. HR.
Second the motion.
It has been moved and properly second that we approve the standard rates of pay revision presented to us tonight. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It has been adopted. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Okay.
All righty, we are down to 10.6, North Florida School District Resolution for Safety Guidelines during COVID-19.
And I'd like to welcome my colleagues, Chief Finks to the table, our Director of Safety, Security, Emergency Medical Services, and Nurse Green, our fabulous nurse and COVID point of contact.
Our awesome nurse.
Welcome.
With a new blonde hair.
Good evening.
It's summer.
Madam President, Directors, Dr. Paluski. So this resolution before you today is more of a housekeeping matter to go along with the decision at the last board meeting to lift the ban, the mandate on facial coverings throughout the district. And so with that, with this resolution, there's still the recommendation to make facial coverings optional. However, there are some exceptions that were not discussed at the last board meeting that we thought were important, such as should a staff member or a student test positive for COVID-19, what the procedure would be. If there's in-home close contacts to a positive case, what would be the requirement. Mitigating circumstances such as continued use of water bottle filling stations instead of the water fountains, social distancing, and other things that we felt was important that was not discussed at the last, during the last resolution. And in addition to that, there's also part of this resolution will address specifically, an alternate policy for use when the district has more than 30 cases per 10,000 individuals for a consecutive 7-day period, which, according to the Department of Health, I believe, and our nursing staff, we don't see reaching in the foreseeable future. But we wanted to have that in place just so we don't have to continually come back and forth to the board with resolutions dealing with facial coverings and the COVID-19 issues. And so with that, like I said, this is more of a housekeeping matter that we hope will be, simple.
You said 30 cases per 10,000 for 30 days? Is that what you said?
7 days.
7 days, okay.
Over a 7-day period, and it has to be consecutive.
Okay.
Did you have any more questions, Ms. West? Ms. Wacom?
For clarity, water fountains, we're still keeping those off. We're gonna
Yes.
use the water bottle refilling stations.
Yes.
We're still doing, face mask optional.
Yes.
And, hand hygiene, we're still using our hand sanitizers. And then what about, temperatures? Are we still, temperatures have gone away? We're not taking temperatures any longer?
Correct.
Okay. All right, just wanted clarification on it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Ms. Williams?
All right.
No question? Ms. Temple?
I'm
Mr.
good.
Steele?
Well, I just want to know, will this address those who feel like they did not have an opportunity to speak? I mean, no one showed up for public comment this time. It's been on the agenda, but I did get a few emails where people felt like when we went to optional masks that they did not have an opportunity to speak. Would this now take care of that and address that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we recognize that, we just had to provide more clarity. And I think that's what actually this does, is provide a little bit more clarity around where we still have to, in the event, as what was listed, with a positive case, but still recognizing the board's direction to go.
No, well, as of last time when we addressed it, there was a motion made. It was not on the agenda. There was a motion made to put it on the agenda.
Yes, sir.
I just want to clarify, this time it was on the agenda,
Yes,
so
sir.
anyone who had an issue would have the
Yes, sir.
opportunity to come
Yes, sir.
forward. Thank you.
Yep, thank you for clarifying that.
Motion?
Madam President,
Yes.
I so move that we accept the resolution for the safety guidelines during COVID-19.
Second.
It has been moved and properly second that we accept the resolution for safety guidelines during COVID-19. Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It has been adopted. Thank you both.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Nurse Green.
Future meeting and events, special board meeting and board workshop on Thursday, April the 7th. Regular board meeting will be Thursday, April 21st. If there's nothing else, a motion to
Madam
adjourn.
President,
Oh, you
I'd
have
just like to
something?
wish everybody a happy spring break.
Oh, yes,
It's been
yes,
2 years
yes,
probably
yes,
since
yes.
people hadn't been able to do anything on spring break, at least 2 years, maybe 3. And this year seemed like people will have an opportunity to be safer and be able to get out and enjoy their friends and family more. And Mr. Superintendent, hope you have a good spring break.
Thank you, sir. And also, Mr. Steele, I thought you were going to lead in with Happy St. Patrick's Day first. And,
I would like for you,
yes,
Mr. Superintendent, I know the schedule is tight, but some kind of way we need to have the board workshop for the LPPC, so, and for the board, so we can know, have a happy medium, and they can better understand policy. And so if you can squeeze that workshop in, Ms. Garrett from the Arkansas School Board Association, she did it for us last year. And I think it would be very helpful that if teachers, we had it at the high school in the cafeteria. But I think it's very important that we do this so that they can be more familiar with policies and follow guidelines, and a lot of board members too. Perhaps we need a refreshing.
that's from
That'll help.
ASBA.
Arkansas School Board.
Okay, I'll follow up.
What is that name, a little hot? The lawyer.
Garner.
Okay.
Ms. Garner.
And that's on policy. Okay.
Is
Uh-huh.
on
Okay.
policy.
Sure.
That'll help, and that we can have a great year and try to learn together. We're better together.
Night of honor.
Oh, yeah. The night of honors is coming up. Is it the April 22nd?
When is the prom?
I don't even.
It's May something.
When is graduation?
May 17th.
And I pray that I can walk by then.
So I do want to make one quick announcement, and correct me if I'm wrong, April 24th, which is a Sunday, Ms. Barker, at 2:00 p.m., we are going to have a parade in honoring of both of our state champions, our basketball.
When is this again?
April 24th, from 2 to 4. And the
Yeah.
theme is literacy leads to champions.
Oh, we have a guest in the audience out there. And perhaps we don't know who it is, but the young lady, she is just hired by the Arkansas Education Association. And she said she just came to see how board work.
Oh.
And we just appreciated, she was the lady that took Miss Sonia Roy's place.
Oh, okay.
And then we had another lady who had red hair, I can't think of her name. She left and went to Fayetteville. And so she's the new hire for the Arkansas Education
welcome.
Association.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, pleased to meet you.
I've enjoyed, seeing how North Little Rock operates, and, I'm here to work with you all.
Wonderful.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Is there a motion to go to the House?
Madam President,
Yes.
I so move that we go home.
Second. Second that emotion. Hey, where you going for 3 days? You're not gonna do anything. You told me you were going for 2 days.